You know that feeling when someone asks, "Are you okay?" And your honest answer is, you have absolutely no idea? Not because you're being evasive, not because you're dramatic, but because somewhere between childhood and now, you lost the manual for your own emotional life, and nobody ever told you why. If that hits somewhere quiet and familiar, this video is for you. You are not emotionally broken. You are not too much or not enough. What you are is someone whose earliest emotional teacher wasn't quite available for lessons. And psychologists have spent decades studying exactly what that does to a developing brain and to the adult you became. Let's start with what actually happened. When you were small, your nervous system needed something called co-regulation. That's the technical term for what happens when a calm, present parent helps your overwhelmed little brain settle down. Think of it like your nervous system was a phone trying to sync, and your parent was the Wi-Fi. When that connection was spotty, when the parent was physically there but emotionally somewhere else, your brain had to figure out how to manage the signal alone. And it did. You survived. But surviving and thriving are very different software packages. John Bowlby, the psychologist who founded attachment theory, argued that children don't just need food and shelter, they need emotional attunement, a parent who mirrors their inner world back to them. When that's missing, children develop what researchers call insecure attachment styles. Mary Ainsworth, building on Bowlby's work, identified three of them: anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. If you grew up constantly craving closeness but terrified of it at the same time, that's not a personality flaw. That's a nervous system that learned love comes with an asterisk. Here's something that might genuinely surprise you. A 2025 study published in the Journal of Applied Psychological Studies found that emotionally unavailable parenting significantly predicted alexithymia in young adults, alexithymia being the clinical term for difficulty identifying and describing your own emotions. Basically, when no one names your feelings for you as a child, you seem scared. That looked painful. Your brain never fully develops the neural pathways to label them yourself. So when someone asks what you're feeling, there's not silence because you don't care. There's silence because the map was never drawn. And then there's the oxytocin piece. A 2019 population-based study found that childhood emotional neglect was directly linked to lower plasma oxytocin levels in adults. And oxytocin is your brain's bonding chemical, the one that makes closeness feel safe rather than threatening. Less oxytocin, more social fear, more avoidance of the very intimacy you're quietly starving for. Your biology didn't betray you. Your biology adapted to the environment it was given. But here's where intellectual honesty matters. Not every pattern you carry is a quiet superpower. Hypervigilance, always scanning the room for emotional danger, reading subtext into every silence, is exhausting. Emotional self-sufficiency that turns into never letting anyone in isn't strength, it's a childhood wound wearing an adult costume. The question worth sitting with is this: are you choosing distance because you genuinely need space, or because closeness still feels like a gamble your nervous system refuses to take? That distinction is everything. Because here's the truth. You learned to navigate a world that didn't give you the foundation it was supposed to. That required a kind of internal architecture most people never had to build. You became fluent in emotional subtlety. You became perceptive in ways that genuinely startle people. You learned self-reliance not as a philosophy, but as a survival skill. None of that disappears in therapy. It gets a foundation under it. And the version of you that finally feels safe enough to connect, that person has been waiting a long time. They deserve to come forward. If this hit home for you, please subscribe. And if you want to support these deep dives, hit that join button to become a channel member. I would genuinely appreciate your support.